like to call this meeting of the Brooklyn City Council to order. Mary Jo, can you call the roll?
Ron Van Kirk.
Here.
Tony DeMarco.
Here.
Debbie Tomusko.
Here.
Kathy Pucci.
Here.
Mary Belbeer.
Here.
Kevin Tansky.
Here.
Barb Politsky.
Here.
Would you please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We do have some minutes that need to be approved this evening from our meeting dated November 27th, 2017. Does anyone on council have any comments or questions regarding those minutes? Okay, need a motion to approve?
Motion to approve. Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk.
Yes.
Tony DeMarco.
Yes.
Debbie Tomusko.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Belbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Politsky.
Yes.
Before we begin tonight, I just wanted to inform those in the room that there is a photographer here tonight from my alma mater, Pensacola Christian College. They're working on a piece about me from City Council. So they've asked some pictures to be taken. So if you see someone walking around the room taking pictures tonight, that is what they are doing it for. We will now proceed with our council meeting. We have several proclamations from the mayor. So at this time, I'll turn it over to her.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. So I want to apologize in advance to City Council. We wanted to keep the Citizen of the Year this year's proclamation a surprise, so we'd not put it on the agenda. And my secretary, Jill Ludwig, had organized this. So I want to welcome this person up. They don't know that they're the Citizen of the Year yet. So Mike Bunaski, why don't you come up? You're the Citizen of the Year for 2017. I'm going to read your proclamation. Mike Bunaski, if you don't know, he's a Brooklyn resident. He founded Christ Cupboard Ministry, a nonprofit organization which helps out Brooklyn residents in need by working with various businesses and organizations in the community and throughout Northeast Ohio. Mike is a mentor to many, unselfishly giving his time and energy to those who need assistance, oftentimes traveling near and far to pick up donated items and delivers those items to individual families. Mike picks up donated food items 5 days a week from businesses, which helps stock the pantry, and he provides rides for those in need for transportation to doctor's appointments and getting prescriptions filled. Mike has partnered with Coats for Kids in conjunction with Christ Cupboard Ministry for providing coats, clothing, and household items that are given away, as well as holding semi-annual giveaway events. I, the mayor, city council, and the citizens of this great city, thank you for all of your work, and you were nominated by several people, so I'm going to give you the opportunity to say something if you like. And you know it's a good time to promote what you do, all the great things you do for our community.
Thank you, everyone. Kind of surprised me. We do a lot of work with Christ Cupboard Ministry. We do reach a lot of people. Actually, we pick up food 7 days a week from restaurants, and we take them to the shelters, and we keep stuff on hand to hand out to families and stuff. We also do furniture and all that. We've outfitted about 15 apartments and a 3/4 house with furniture, and it's all donated stuff. We just never know when it's going to come in. We'll get a request for something like a stove, and the next day I hear about a stove that's available. And we don't have a lot of space for storage. In fact, we're looking for a place for storage, for a place that we can move some of the stuff to. We've kind of outgrown the church a little bit. There's just a lot that has to go into it. And I do thank everybody, all my helpers, my volunteers and everything. And I just don't know what else to say. Well, thank you.
Our next proclamation is to honor our Employee of the Year. Cindy Simcoe, will you come up with your family? So Cindy is also a Brooklyn resident. She's a full-time employee here in the finance department and has been with the city of Brooklyn since February 1st, 2013. She's worked in many capacities. She started off as our receptionist and moved to accounts payable. She's filled in for the building departments and mayor's court on multiple occasions. She's a valuable asset in both the service and fire departments, handling all their purchase order requisitions. Cindy also serves as the treasurer, a representative member of the healthcare committee, and a union negotiator for ABSME Local 3218. She's a tremendous value to our city and always goes above and beyond. She was nominated by multiple directors for the Employee of the Year, and I just want to thank her because Cindy is just truly an asset to this city and to this administration. So, thank you. You want to talk for your mom? No. Thank you, Cindy. Okay. Last but not least, if you see all these fine boys up here, we're here to honor our 5th and 6th grade football team from St. Thomas More. They won the CYO champions. You guys want to come up with your coach, Mark Butler? So this team finished the regular season with 6 wins and 1 loss. They won in the playoff and earned the enviable title of CYO champions with a 27-0 victory over St. Francis. The team, through their spirit and determination, brought a sense of pride to St. Thomas More School as well as the community. And I want to ask Mark Butler to name all of the students that were involved. I do not want to mess up anybody's names.
All right. Do we just call them up or? We had like 23 boys on the team this year. I don't know if they're all here, but we'll start. Cameron Knobloch, Josh Parisi, Ricky Miller, Hunter Black, Quentin Ha, Jovan Santiago, Hunter Canchin, Colin Mateer, Cameron Melendez, Aiden Butler, Ian Miklich, Rashad Hartnett, Diego Nunny, Fred Borky, Joe Valencic, AJ Hill, William Sasenko, Giovanni Simbalis, Stephen Barchek, Noah Nunny, William Dix, Seth Ryan, Khalil Hartnett, and the coaches that helped me were Diane Ha, Kyle Nada, Fred Borky Sr., John Miklovich, Jim Mateer, Chris Haas, and Tom Butler. And that was our 5th and 6th grade team this year.
Congratulations.
You don't show for your firefighters. Yeah. Mark, which one's yours? Was that on the end? That's a good one. Like the shirts?
Thanks again.
Thank you. Thanks for
Congratulations.
Thank you. I just want to say congratulations again to Cindy, Mike, and all the CYO team.
At this time in our meeting, we'll now have the public session. If anyone in the audience has anything to say for the good and welfare of the city of Brooklyn, please step forward, state your name and address, and you'll be recognized. Please remember to keep your comments to 5 minutes or fewer. Coach, if you and your boys want to stay, you're welcome to. If you want to leave, you're welcome to. And everyone else that came, congratulations again, everyone. Thanks for coming out.
They might want to learn about government a little bit.
They're all going to stay, but I figured they would want to.
What's up, buddy? How are you? Good. How are you? Good. Nice to see you. that might happen. My kids are behaving with No, it's all right. Thank you very much. Thank you. If I come, Tony. If I, next time
Okay, we will now move on with reports of committees, commissions, and boards. And we begin this evening with the Recreation Board, Councilwoman Belvier.
There's no report at this time. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on with the Board of Zoning Appeals, Commissioner Colsar.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. The Board of Zoning Appeals meeting scheduled for December 21st has been canceled. No applications were received. The next scheduled meeting is January 18th. These meetings are Thursdays at 6 p.m. in the City Hall Conference Room and are open to the public. Thank you. That completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Colsar. Next up is the Planning Commission, Councilman DeMarco.
The Planning Commission met on Thursday, December 7th at 6 p.m. To hear a request from LaBella Associates for an amendment to plans approved at December 7, 2017 Planning Commission meeting for new truck entrance drive and deletion of additional parking area in front of the building located at 9500 Brook Park Road, permanent parcel number 433-18001, docket number 9-2017-2, and that was approved, and that was all the Commission had for that evening.
Thank you, Mr. DeMarco. Next up is our School Board Liaison, Councilwoman Politsky.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. I only have good things to report for the school board tonight. On December 16th, which is a Saturday, there will be several concerts. The third grade starts at 12:30, and the fifth and sixth grade at 2 p.m., the seventh and eighth grade at 4:30, and the high school at 7 p.m. During those concerts, the Brooklyn Music Boosters will be hosting various fundraisers at all these concerts. They'll have a bake sale, a 50-50 raffle, and a basket raffle. You could win for $5 a Hewlett-Packard Touch Chromebook. So please go and support our children and listen to their beautiful music, and that ends my report.
Thank you, Mrs. Politsky. The Finance Committee did meet this evening at 6:30, just prior to our meeting. Up for third reading adoption this evening is Ordinance 2017-78. This is authorizing the interfund transfers and advances during 2017, and the committee did recommend that council adopt this ordinance. Next up was Ordinance 2017-79, is also up for third reading adoption. This is our annual appropriations ordinance for 2018. The total proposed 2018 general fund permanent appropriations now stands at $16,479,864. That's an increase of $766,383 from the 2017 permanent appropriations, and the majority of this increase is due to increase in payroll costs as well as an increased debt payment for the Road on Road project. So the total proposed 2018 permanent appropriations for all funds now stands at $25,025,223, and the committee did recommend that council adopt. Up for first reading this evening is Ordinance 2017-86, establishing a non-resident fee for key fob cards for use with the My Senior Center system at the Brooklyn Senior Center. And this will be a $12 charge for non-residents for the use of a key fob in the new system at the Senior Center. It also includes the mailing of the chit chat. And that is all we have for the finance meeting. Those meetings do take place at 6:30, just prior to all regularly scheduled council meetings. All the public is welcome to attend. We will now move on with reports of council. We begin this evening with Mr. DeMarco.
Okay, as Mr. Van Kirk just mentioned, the ordinance on our agenda this evening for the budget ordinance 2017-79 will be voted on tonight. And I did make it very clear from the start of the budget discussion that I would not support a budget where services are being reduced to our residents. I talked last year about the same subject and the fact that there needs to be shared sacrifice, and that didn't happen last year, and it looks like it won't happen again this year. So I do want to thank our finance director, Mr. Schaefer, and his entire staff for compiling all the data that you've provided to us and providing timely answers to our questions. I really appreciate that. But I would urge all council members not to approve this budget as currently constructed. There's plenty of time to pass a more reasonable budget that meets both the current and future needs of our residents. Tonight is somewhat of a bittersweet night for me. I will be resigning as your elected council person. I cannot tell you how humbled and honored I have been to represent the residents of this great city for the past 8+ years. I have met many residents who care deeply about this city and who actively participate to make Brooklyn a better place to live. There are too many names to list, but I'd like to thank those people, and I think they know who they are. Unfortunately, there are a very small number of residents who are interested in putting their self-interest and ambitions ahead of what's best for all Brooklyn residents. I've attempted to shed some light of that in my years on council as those situations have arose. You may agree or disagree with me on certain issues or topics, but one thing I always do and have done is provide the facts and above all be truthful with all of you, despite how blunt and painful it is at times. There's a lot of examples I can provide, but I would just say that I'd like to wish every resident the best of what life has to offer. And finally, I would like to wish each and every resident and their families, along with their employees and their families, a very Merry Christmas. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. DeMarco. Next up is Ms. Tomusko.
Yes, good evening. Okay, just a few comments I have tonight. First off, I have to thank Wally for Santa Claus. What a great tradition. I was out there with my pooch waving hi, but I think, again, I just really want to thank him for what he's done and all those years and the sled and the sleigh that he's designed. And I just want to use it as a point that there aren't many other communities that can do that are small enough and that have that kind of ability to literally have Santa Claus go up and down the entire community. I made a comment last week about economic development. Let's try to hang on to what's good about Brooklyn and what's special about Brooklyn, and I think that's another example. Brooklyn is a very special city, and sometimes it's okay to be small. It's okay to be a small quality city because you're allowed to do things like that. So as we work toward economic development, let's not lose what makes us so special as a city. And I just ask that again. I was going to talk a little more about the purchase of the land at the corner of Memphis and Tiedemann. I had a few more questions and a few more comments about that, but I think I'm going to hold off on that, basically for two reasons. It was my understanding council was still voting on that, but according to the Sun News and the Plain Dealer this last Sunday, it's a done deal. Our economic development director was quoted in the paper as saying they're moving forward with this, and so I guess they're moving forward with it. So there's no point in my asking any more questions as a council person. I know it's up for additional readings, but again, I've had people call me after it appeared in the Sunday paper and said, wait a minute, I thought we were still talking about this. So I guess we're not. It'd be nice if we at least had the illusion that council had some input into everything that happens here in the city, but I guess that kind of went away on that one. I also would make a few more comments, but unfortunately I found out that at the last council meeting while I was speaking, another council member saw fit to write a note to another council person that said, oh my God, thank God she didn't win. We don't have to listen to her anymore. So next meeting is my last meeting. I'll save then to make a few comments, and I do want to close, but I was surprised by Mr. DeMarco tonight, so I want to just thank him for his service. He is a class act all the way around. He has worked tirelessly for the betterment of this city. He has used his time and his talent, and it's not easy to go against the forces that are in power. That's a very difficult thing to do, but if you truly want to be for the citizens of Brooklyn and for the city, sometimes you have to do that. And it's not always a comfortable place to be. The go along to get along is a much easier attitude. But I really want to thank Mr. DeMarco for his service. I know whatever community he goes to or wherever he goes next, they will benefit from him greatly. So on a personal note, thank you so much. And that's all I have this evening.
Next up is Mrs. Pucci.
Thank you. First, I'd like to congratulate Mr. Bonansky on his award as being Citizen of the Year. I know how hard you work and how many people you help, and this is a well-deserved award, and I really appreciate all you do for our community, and especially the underprivileged people, because those are the people who need our help the most. So thank you very much, and congratulations on the well-deserved honor. Secondly, I'd like to congratulate Cindy Simcoe on her award. She's a very hard worker. This is also a well-deserved award, so congratulations to her. And also congratulations to the St. Thomas More football team on their championship, both all the coaches, the parents, and the students. I know what a thrilling thing it is to win a CYO championship. Just for a point of information, in case people have not heard, they did complete the recount on the school levy, which was the renewal and a small addition they were asking for capital needs only, and unfortunately it did lose by 2 votes. And this is one of those perfect examples of why every single vote counts. So I know the school board and superintendent are going to be getting together and deciding what their next course of action is. Regarding the permanent appropriations that we're going to be adopting this evening for next year, there is an item that's not included. It's an ambulance. We're going to be doing a little more due diligence to see exactly which specific apparatus would be best suited for the city. So hopefully once we get all that information, we'll be able to add that into our budget. And I know Mr. Parker's here, so thank you so much for all you do for Santa's Visit. As everybody knows, this is one of the highlights of kids who live in Brooklyn, and adults also, but especially the kids. It always brings back a lot of memories in our house. Unfortunately, I was out, it was my birthday yesterday, so we were waiting, but then had to leave before you got by our house. But it's a great thing, as Councilwoman Tomusko said, and I know you've been doing this for 50 years. Thank you so much for all your dedication to make sure that that happens. And the safety committee is going to be touring the Parma Regional Dispatch Center on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We're going to meet Chief Milkey out there. So, and Chief, if you could just kind of ahead of time maybe shoot us a status of where we are. I know that we had some issues we were working through, so that we have an understanding about exactly where we stand right now and if we've made any progress in resolving some of those issues. And finally, I too would like to thank Councilman DeMarco for his service. He was always an independent thinker, but one thing was always very consistent with Mr. DeMarco and his time on council, and that is that he truly always put residents first and believed that residents deserve the best that we can offer. So thank you very much for your service, and you will be missed. That completes my report. Thank you.
Next up is Mrs. Balbier.
Thank you. I too would like to thank St. Thomas More football team. They always seem to win. Even when my kids were going there, there was always dedicated parents, dedicated coaches. When my children were going there, they won the Blue Ribbon Award, and that was a big thing in those days. And then now, every year, they seem to win some sort of football or sports competition. So congratulations to St. Thomas More. Go Wolverines. Also, I'd like to thank Mr. Bonansky, and not only him, but his lovely wife. I've known them for over 30 years. When I first met them, actually it was Mrs. B. She was the teacher at the church, at the Reformed Church. They had the best daycare, and my son Joe would go there. And I would say to my little son, because that was the first time I ever had my son in daycare, and I completely investigated it, and I would say, well, Joseph, when you're taking a nap, what does Mrs. B do? And he would say, Mom, she rubs our backs. So I always felt good about that. But then just recently I got to be friends with Mr. B. And I see all his dedication there at Christ's Cupboard. and how hard he works, and how he goes to Panera, and he goes, that's half the battle, is going and picking up all that stuff and helping those. And you never close the door on anyone. And you are such a disciple of Christ. I'm so honored to be your friend and to meet you. A few weeks ago, I had a great opportunity to go to Chicago, and I love that city. And I stopped there for Mass at the Holy Name Cathedral. We went for Sunday Mass. And they had a wonderful priest there talking. And he said, "Be good and kind to the poor and less fortunate, because they are the ones that write your recommendation to heaven." So I think, Mr. Bonaski, you're going to have a wonderful seat there in heaven along with Mrs. B. And if there's anything I can ever do to help you, please don't ever hesitate to ask. Needless to say, congratulations to Cindy Simcoe. She knows how to do everything, and she's such a marvelous person, and it's so nice to be a part of her friendship there with her family and her little daughter Samantha. I'm so glad she's actually now at St. Thomas More, so that's so nice to hear. Cindy is very efficient, and I know she does a lot. Even when my husband was magistrate, he always spoke so highly of her. So that's a nice thing. I'm so proud for her. I just have an opinion about this land we're purchasing, or thinking of purchasing, I don't know, over here in Tiedemann. A couple people have mentioned to me, number one, did we do a feasibility study? I mean, what is it, is it good for office space, retail, whatever? That was one of the questions. Why are we becoming real estate people? One of the questions somebody asked me is, why aren't we working on our police station? Isn't that more important than buying $1 million land? So these are just some of the questions. I'm not trying to, I'm just throwing it out there. Some people are asking me these kind of questions, and a couple concerns were that it was in the paper already. It was in the Sun paper and this past Sunday's paper. I think we should be a little bit cautious about that. That's all I'm saying. Lastly, I am going to miss you, Mr. DeMarco. I always thought you were such an honorable person. I always admired how much work you did for your church, St. Rocco's. How you worked at all those festivals. You have a lovely, lovely, beautiful wife, and I wish you only the happiness, a lot of children, and success. And I'm sure that's going to happen. And I know your mom and dad are proud of you. And that pretty much completes my report. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Mr. Tansky.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. Just have a few things. Congratulate to Mike Bonaski and your Citizens of the Year Award. Also congratulate Cindy Simcoe on the Employee of the Year Award. And St. Thomas More CYO football team on their great run to the championship. I'm a very competitive person myself, so when I see especially the, let's say, younger students winning championships, that's great, and hopefully that continues. I'd also like to thank Mr. DeMarco for his service on council, and wish you well. And that concludes my report.
Thank you.
Next up is Mrs. Plisky.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. I'd also like to congratulate Mr. Mike Bonaski. I hadn't heard of you before, but it sounds like everything you're doing is so absolutely wonderful for this city. I'm glad you're able to do all that. Cindy Simcoe, I've met her, and she's just a wonderful employee. And those young kids are just fantastic. There are a lot of good young children out there today. They're not all bad like you see in the news half of the time. For the past 4 Christmas seasons, Cleveland Baptist Church has presented Christmas in Brooklyn for the residents of our city. This year will mark their 5th anniversary. The 2017 program is called Promised One. The event is free of charge and will be performed on 2 different times, both at Cleveland Baptist Church on Tiedemann Road. The performances will be on December 16th and 17th, Saturday and Sunday at 6 p.m. Christmas in Brooklyn is a great way to celebrate the birth of our Lord Jesus Christ with your fellow Brooklyn residents. Please join your fellow residents on those dates at Cleveland Baptist Church. For more information, please call 216-671-2822. Merry Christmas from the Baptist Church. And I'd like to thank the city employees for their dedication to the residents of Brooklyn. Each one of you has made our job easier by quickly addressing concerns that are brought to our attention by residents. Living in this small city has so many advantages that Clevelanders don't have. Sometimes we just take for granted things like Santa visiting the city, the holiday lighting contest, our picnic in the park, and this year, thanks to Bob Hennings, the fireworks. When you have an opportunity, take a moment to thank an employee. I wish you a blessed Christmas. And Mr. DeMarco, nice to know you, and I wish you well in the future and hope that your new place of residence will be as happy to you as Brooklyn has been. And that ends my report.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Plitsky. Just a little note of housekeeping. Just want to inform residents that the December 26th meeting, that is the second meeting of December, has been moved to December the 18th, and that is due to the Christmas holiday. So we will actually meet 1 week from tonight, will be the second meeting for December. Not to be redundant, I also want to congratulate the award recipients tonight, Mr. Bernansky on the Citizen of the Year. I've never had the privilege of meeting you, but I do a lot of work for my church as well, and so congratulations on all your hard work, and keep up what you're doing in the community. It definitely makes a difference. Also to Cindy as well, I've had several interactions with her through the years, and she's just a very fine person, so congratulations to her as well. And of course, the CYO football team. I have the opportunity to referee the CYO basketball, and I know that the St. Thomas More is always very competitive, and so congratulations to the football team. In regards to the ordinances for the property on the corner of Memphis and Tiedemann, as soon as these ordinances are read in the first reading, that's public information, so it's not really uncommon for media personnel to receive that information and to, of course, call the administration, ask some questions. I did read that article as well. I didn't really take it the way that he was saying that it was already a done deal. We did have a rather lengthy discussion about these ordinances at the previous finance meeting, then we had another discussion about them tonight. And certainly it's not a done deal. We will have this up for third reading adoption will be next meeting, and we'll have a finance meeting before the next meeting that questions can be asked. And so it's by no means a done deal. Council does have the authority to vote this down if they so choose. And so it is up for discussion. There has been actually quite a bit of discussion about that. Also in regards to the dispatch center, I've asked Mary Jo to send out a public notice. I'm not sure how many council members are able to attend, but if we have a quorum there, meaning 4 or more, there will need to be a public notice, so she's going to put that out, and that'll be for this Wednesday at the dispatch center.
Excuse me, may I be recognized?
Yes.
If we could recognize Mr. Butler, I checked that out with him. If you would mind recognizing him, he could comment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did discuss that council members who attend sort of what I've called show and tell or demonstrations where no deliberations are taking place are not at official meetings of the deliberative body. So committees, council members can attend these types of events provided there's no substantive deliberation going on the subject. So council members really ought not be speaking among themselves about the subject matter, but so long as they are being shown something and are asking questions perhaps directly of the people who are showing them things, that's okay. That's not a substantive deliberation, and therefore it's not an official meeting of the under the records, or excuse me, the Open Meetings Act, and therefore it doesn't need to be noticed.
Okay.
So
I just want to make sure we're covered with that.
I think it's been put out there that the committee is attending this presentation. The fact is, council members who are the folks who make up the committee are attending this presentation, and it's really not an official committee meeting. But I do appreciate the chance for a clarification. Thanks.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, as well. Also, I want to wish Mr. DeMarco the best of luck, and I do thank you for your service here in the city of Brooklyn and wish you well in all your future endeavors. And that is all I have for this evening. We will now move on with the mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. Van Kirk. Ms. Tomusko brought up this article. I missed the article. My sister had a health scare. She had been in the ICU for 2 weeks, so I've kind of been in and out with worrying about that on top of everything else. But I just had a chance to read this article right now, and the reporter does make it sound like Brooklyn City Council is passing these ordinances. It wasn't the ED director, it was the person writing the article, the reporter. which is obviously not the case since it's still pending on our agenda. And as Mr. Van Kirk said, this was on our agenda. That's where the plain dealer reporters contact the administration when something they see on the agenda, they ask questions. So a funny story is my sister's in the ICU. I read an article that she pled and sentenced somebody to prison for 20 years, and I was like, she was laying in a hospital bed. How is this possible that she pled and sentenced somebody? I mean, these plain dealer reporters and reporters in general don't necessarily always report accurate information. So when you're reading things, you have to sort of take things with a grain of salt as well.
But they quoted Andy Udris.
But that's, Mr. Udris is not quoted in that as saying Brooklyn City Council passed this or is passing it. I just read it right now.
Okay. Well, whatever.
So my point is just, kind of be cautious about things that you read. It's not always 100% accurate. And we did introduce this through executive session, so we've had some discussions on this. That's why it actually got brought to the public on the agenda. Otherwise, it wouldn't have, if there wasn't enough support, we would have never brought it to council in the first place. The other thing I want to do is I want to, again, welcome Inogen. They had a grand opening luncheon. They brought in their executives from California, and the business is just doing wonderfully here. So much so that they're talking about moving more people than they originally thought of moving when we did a job creation grant with them. So, I just want to welcome them. They're a thriving business in our community. They're doing very well. They're very happy with the space in American Greetings. And for the sake of all of us, I hope they keep moving people here, create opportunities for jobs, income taxes, and help the city out as a whole. And that is it.
Right, thank you, Mayor. We'll now move on with our director's reports. We begin this evening with the Recreation Manager, Ms. McGinty.
Good evening. Just wanted to thank everyone who showed up for the Skate with Santa. But if you missed it, you can still join us for our Ugly Christmas Sweater public skate on Friday, December 15th at 8 to 9:15 p.m. During winter break, we will be hosting 2 Recreation Center Fun Days. These will be held December 25th and January 2nd. From 1 to 2, we'll have open skate. From 2 to 3, we'll have snack. And from 3 to 4, we'll have swimming. The cost will be $10, but this also includes a ticket to a Brooklyn basketball home game. And we are currently registering for Friday night basketball for grades 1 through 6. The cost is $35 per resident, and that includes my report.
Thank you, Ms. McGinty. Next up is our Finance Director, Mr. Schaefer.
Thank you. Good evening.
No,
It's not working.
they're new batteries.
We always break the mic. Maybe you can put that in your budget.
All right, I want to thank members of council for their efforts and with the 2018 permanent appropriations. It's hard to believe we started this process 7 months ago in May of 2017, and I hope to envision a similar process in 2018 and beyond. So what I provided members of council was an example of an ordinance that was done in 2009, and what that did, that authorized the capital items that are incorporated in the 2018 permanent appropriations. And so what I'm trying to do for 2018 and beyond is to be able to put together a very similar packet that mimics the capital list for the Fund 400 for 2018 permanent appropriations that totals $2,243,702. And I'll be putting that together. If you have any questions, the third page of that packet would, instead of what's on that third page, it'll look exactly like our capital list. And please let me know if you have any questions about what we're trying to do with the capital package for 2018. Change number 2 to the 2017 permanent appropriations will be in your council packets for the meeting next Monday, 12/18. And I will be requesting to be approved by emergency that evening, 12/18. And what that does, that allows us to have our certificate of estimated resources in balance so that we are able to file that with the county fiscal officer and meet compliance for our 2018 appropriations. And as I get that out, please let me know if you have any questions. We will obviously be discussing that at the Finance Committee next Monday at 6:30. I also provided council with the most recently updated gross collections from RETA and incorporated the $887,000 that was received for the advanced distribution. I will know the reconciliation distribution on this Thursday, the 14th, and I should be able to provide council with a 2017 total gross collections by RETA at the meeting next Monday, the 18th. And just wanted to let everybody know, I'm sure everybody will be happy that we made the final payment for Eclipse and that Tiedemann Road project will be closed out. And that completes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Schaefer. Last of this evening is our building commissioner, Mr. Colsar.
Thank you. With the holidays upon us and the big Brooklyn outdoor lighting decoration contest coming up, I just wanted to give residents a few tips on safety when it comes to plugging in a bunch of lights and hanging them on the front of your house in the snow. A couple things to make sure of when you're doing this is that you're plugging in your lights to a GFCI receptacle, so the type that has a test button and a reset button, and you always want to test that too to make sure it's functioning right. Your cords and the lights themselves, you always want to make sure that they are listed, UL listed for outdoor use. A lot are not and only meant to be used inside. Your plug connections, make sure that they're up off the ground a little bit, out of snow. Don't want moisture getting into those connections, could have a problem with that. And then you can check cords for overheating, just touch them, make sure they're not getting super hot. If you have a lot of plugs, plugged in, and then make sure they're turned off before you go to sleep. And always remember to be careful on ladders. It's my tip of the week. Thanks.
Hey, can you come do my Christmas lights? I haven't done them yet. Make sure you're safe. All right, thank you, Mr. Colsar.
I don't do ladders anymore.
Okay. All right, we'll now move on with requested legislation for this evening. Yes.
Kathy Ripping.
Sure.
Just for one quick thing. I just wanted to comment on the comment that I made about the Cleveland.com and Sun News saying that the Memphis Tiedemann was a done deal, and the mayor corrected me. Wait a minute, we just lost my package. The mayor corrected me and said she had the article in front of her. I just pulled up the article in front of me and just wanted to say that the opening paragraph of the article says, Economic Development Director Andrew Udress said the city is spending $844,000 to purchase 8 properties around the southwest corner of Memphis Tiedemann and Memphis Avenue and Tiedemann Road. So it does quote the director, our economic development director is saying it's done, we are purchasing it, it is a done deal. So I just want to make that correction before we look at it again.
Mrs. Tomesco, there's no quotations. That's my point, is anybody could write anything. My whole point of my sister's article was that they had quotes that were from the courtroom and she was not even present.
All right, we'll move on with legislation then. We begin this evening with a request. This comes from Mr. Verba, dated December 4th, 2017. Dear Mayor and members of council, I hereby request authorization to enter into an agreement with Smith & Obie Service Company on a renewal contract for the full maintenance program, heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems at Brooklyn City Hall, Brooklyn Senior Center, Brooklyn Service Garage, Brooklyn Fire Department, Brooklyn Animal Shelter, and Brooklyn Historical Society. The renewal will begin on January 1st, 2018 and end on December 31st, 2018 for the contract cost at $47,750, and this is from John Verba, our service director. Just as a notice, this is the same company that we used last year, and it is the same cost as well. Any comments or questions?
Move to authorize the renewal agreement with Smith & Obie for $47,750 in 2018.
Second.
To approve, Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Tony DeMarco,
Yes.
Debbie Tomusko.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Politzky.
Yes.
The next two are up for third reading and adoption. Ordinance 2017-78, authorizing interfund transfers and advances during 2017. Are there any comments or questions?
Move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Tony DeMarco,
Yes.
Debbie Tomusko.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci.
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Politzky.
Yes.
Ordinance 2017-79, the annual appropriations for 2018. Are there any additional comments or questions?
Move to adopt.
Second.
To adopt, Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Tony DeMarco,
No.
Debbie Tomusko,
Yes.
Kathy Pucci,
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer,
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Politzky.
Yes.
The next four ordinances are up on second reading. Ordinance 2017-81, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with the Midwest Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses for the purchase of certain real property known as 4346 Tiedemann Road, permanent parcels numbers 432030001, 007, and 008. Ordinance 2017-82, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Eli A. Mina for the purchase of certain real property known as 10139 Memphis Avenue, permanent parcel number 432030002. Ordinance 2017-83, authorizing the mayor to enter into an agreement with Allison Lowry for the purchase of certain real property known as 4302 Tiedemann Road, permanent parcel number 432030003. Ordinance 2017-84, authorizing the mayor to enter an agreement with Lottie Taylor Blake for the purchase of certain real property known as 10100 Manila Avenue, permanent parcels numbers 43203, 004, 005, and 006. On first reading this evening is Ordinance 2017-86, establishing a non-resident fee for key fob cards for use with the My Senior Center system at the Brooklyn Senior Center. That is the conclusion of our agenda this evening. We do anticipate going into executive session this evening to get a labor negotiations update. Does anyone else on council, the mayor, or any directors have any comments or questions?
I move that we adjourn into executive session for the purpose of labor negotiations with the mayor, finance director, and the law director.
Second?
To adjourn to executive session, Ron Van Kirk,
Yes.
Tony DeMarco,
Yes.
Debbie Tomusko.
Yes.
Kathy Pucci,
Yes.
Mary Bellbeer.
Yes.
Kevin Tansky.
Yes.
Barb Politzky.
Yes.
Just to let everyone know, once the executive session is over, we will just come back in this room to adjourn the meeting. Thank you. Have a good evening.